fact live. This is the Geek Battle Show.
We are
And
live according to StreamYard.
We are live, thank goodness. So, welcome to the Geek Battle Show. And today we're going to discuss all kinds of things happening in the world of entertainment, pop culture. You know, we'll work out if there is a Geek of the Week. In fact, it's going to be a slightly shorter show today. I almost feel like just because StreamYard giving me some issues.
I insist we need to go back to
guys. Let's do the show today, and then perhaps we, if people are available, whatever, perhaps we can do another one like Thursday or Friday. I think Friday probably is better, but today's going to be short. It was going to be slightly shorter anyway, but then StreamYard has been a pain in the butt, and yeah, so I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of stuff for us to get to. But oh shit, it's Nick. You had something you wanted to address in the realm of Magic the Gathering.
So, as some of you may or may not know, I've been a Magic the Gathering player for over 20 years. Recently, the Commander Advisory Board announced some changes to the format. They've banned a couple cards, and I understand that bannings always suck. But the way the community has reacted towards these particular bannings has been atrocious. Death threats have been issued to the people involved in the bannings. And let me tell you something, guys. Death threats are never acceptable. You know, people have said that people who are confirmed to go to events have said, I'm not going to go unless Wizard of the Coast, who's a company that publishes Magic, has a security person for me specifically, because they're that scared. Please, guys, don't be as stupid as to ever issue a death threat to somebody just because they make a decision in a children's card game ultimately that affects your bottom line by 50 or maybe 100 USD. You know?
I never understood death threats. Like, why?
Yeah.
Look, it's really like I follow a bunch of the people on X and on Twitter and they're like, look, I was gonna go to this event, but I'm not gonna go anymore because I don't feel safe. And that's
I always like that. That's part of the nerd fandom that I always like to question. Like, yeah, I've been upset about a few things when they make like I don't like TMNT Rise, but I can't say, oh, the dude who made the show should die. No, I will hate the show, but that has nothing to do with like I'm going to end you. That sounds almost like a supervillain.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, look, and I know we're a comedy podcast, but this shit is kind of serious. This one particular time, I'm gonna say, like, look, this is not acceptable, and yeah, that's basically all I got. It's a shitty situation for everyone involved, everybody who's been threatened. You know, I am not in the group, but I know a lot of the people who are, and I'm like, people have been like, I'm not going to this event. There's a huge event happening next week in Las Vegas, and a bunch of people said that they were going to go, have dropped out.
Wow.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm really sorry I brought it down.
No. Like, we'll talk about any of the stuff that's like, going on that's like noteworthy that we can cover. And obviously, we say like the show's called Geek Battle, right? And that even lends itself to like geeks arguing over stuff and like having fun. Tim's just joining. I'll get Tim on and we'll like continue this. But when people take stuff too seriously, like when people take stuff too seriously that they're threatening creators of stuff or whatever, then it's clearly taking stuff too seriously. And it's weird in that there's a balance that people that make films, card games, board games, comic books, or whatever, they want their fans to be as passionate as possible. But clearly there is a threshold which you've gone too far.
They get personal. Like if it's still about the product and stuff like that, I don't think they would mind as much. But when it gets to like personal, again, why you're doing that? Why are you going after the person?
Yeah, crazy stuff. Tim, hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Good. Tim, we've literally just started. We've had all kinds of like tech issues here, but just to catch you up slightly, Nick raised the topic that there'd been like some sort of issue within the community of Magic the Gathering. Don't know how into that you are, where like some people they made some change to what they're producing or what's going on, and they were like getting death threats. And so we were talking about when fandom goes too far, when being into something crosses too much of a line, which is obviously, I said like this is Geek Battle, we'll have spirited discussion, but there's a point where it doesn't matter. Like you said, ultimately it's a children. I don't really know Magic the Gathering, to be honest, Nick, but if you say like it's a children's card game, or even if you play it as a teenager or an adult or whatever you've been collecting for years, ultimately whenever there's one of these new things and we're like, oh no, the new comics aren't as good as the old one, what does it matter? There's still the old ones. Just enjoy what you enjoy, really.
Yeah, you can still make your point. Like you can express you don't like the new stuff, as long as you keep it about the new stuff and not really do a personal attack. You can say like, I don't like this change. Just say I don't like it. It's your opinion. You can say it. That's no problem.
Exactly.
I've given it a little bit of thought when I read your comment, Nick, and that like the characters we like so much, when they're changed, we get angry. But if that results in death threats, depending on the character, is that something we should enjoy anymore? Because would the character look down on something like that?
So,
yeah.
Basically, what happened, I'll give you guys a short version. There were 4 cards that were banned in a gaming format.
Yeah.
And those cards went from being $100 each, 100 USD, or about 90 euro, I think it is what they're in Europe. And now they went to being like 20 USD and 20 euro. I don't know. I'm in the
so
US.
It was because they were banned from competitive play?
It was bad for competitive play.
That's crazy. I mean, like, I'm not massively even. I've got a bunch of Pokemon cards, but there are certain like Pokemon cards where when after they put them out, they're like, this is too powerful. Like if you play Street Fighter, when there are like the gaming tournaments and stuff, they'll say, oh, this stage is banned because, or Smash Brothers, all kinds of stuff where they'll say, actually, we made this thing, but it messes up the balance. It breaks the game.
Rules.
Yeah,
exactly. So there's a format called Commander, which is a largely casual format, and people have they banned 4 cards out of Commander, which were just the best 4 cards in Commander. They were printed literally 30 years ago, and people are still able to get them because they made a bunch of copies, but they realized that they are entirely too powerful for Commander. This only affects if you're playing in tournaments, which Commander, although there are Commander tournaments, they're few and far between. So I'm like, look, if you want to play with your broken toys, you are welcome to in the privacy of your home or in a non-tournament pod or whatever. That's fine. They're just saying that in tournaments, these cards are banned. And the community at large, and I use the term community very loosely, is going apeshit about these 4 cards being banned, when in reality, these cards have been talking about being banned for the past 4 years, and somebody just pulled the trigger. And they're like, we've been talking about doing this. It's not like, oh my god, these cards that came out last month are all super powerful, let's get rid of them. They've been talking about this for about a year that they're going to ban them, and they finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't understand the particulars of this game, but like that usually happens, right? Like any type of game, even in sport, they bring new rules, they replace things, the normal casual thing that happens. You can still play the old version, like you said, at your home and stuff. But if you're entering tournaments and things, yeah, they'll change the rules. That happens to every sport and every game.
Yeah, I mean, like, Cap, I'm sure you'll be aware. I've certainly heard a bunch of stuff like in like UFC or something. They've adapted the rules a bunch of times, and even do you remember, Cap, just to bring a slightly lighter tone to this, but this may go beyond your time, but do you remember, like, there was a guy once who like didn't wrestle, but he had a fight and he was basically wearing a Speedo, and they were just like, what's this guy wearing? And then, like, immediately afterwards, Dana White was just like, never again, we're changing the rules tonight, you know. And so rules change. I remember, like, in English football, like Premier League football, when there was the World Cup or the European Cup 2 or 4 years ago, just the one just after the pandemic, they changed the rule where basically they would add on injury time, like extra time. So some games it would reach the 45-minute half, and then they'd play for like another 11 minutes, which had never happened before.
Yeah, they added more stoppage time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then absolutely. All right.
I love football. It's my sport of choice.
Well, there you go. And when they made this change, it was just the craziness of the sport has never been like this before, and they kind of reeled it back in because clearly it wasn't beneficial. Rules change, you know.
The same thing I want to, because David brought up the UFC. One of the things that happened to UFC is that, like, mostly grapplers came and they basically put down every striker because, like, all they had to do is just, like, put them down and keep them to the ground, and it gets to a very boring fight. So the rules favor strikers, where you can start up and, you know, hit each other in the face. That's a rule band that the UFC started because they wanted more fist fights. But they were like, okay, fine, we have to adapt to the rules. Is my mic giving anyone feedback? Because I only noticed that.
I'm noticing like a tiny. It's not the end of the world, you know. Less power on Cap. Don't worry about it.
I think we're talking about rules when we're talking about behaviors, and that it's a choice to make a death threat.
Yes. And
that's what it comes down to.
A very extreme one, I might add.
Yeah, yes. And that choice leads you to think like, okay, if you're willing to do that to someone because it's anonymous, I don't know. Like, I've heard stories, like I've had friends who've been like, I'll kick your ass. I've been given verbal death threats by people. That's another story, but
sure.
Where it's in the heat of the moment, and that behavior, that's still a choice. I guess, you know, we have to be cognizant that it's about anger, but that's still a choice. And a lot of the characters we love in the stories we follow probably wouldn't do a death threat.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I do have friends sometimes, you know, do a kid death threat. I mean, like, that's okay. I would say, like, I'm going to kill you, Cap. That doesn't feel that much serious to me.
Cap, like, honestly, in a jokey enough way, I think that every time you turn up, I'm like, Cap. but you know, absolutely. It, like, I had an anonymous one sent to me about 10 years ago. Never got to the bottom of it. I have suspicions about it. Won't get into the details of it. But it's scary when it happens. And
was it Dave?
It wasn't. I didn't know Dave back then.
Dave was like, I need my name back, so I have to kill you.
Okay, I'm going to tell a slight story, but I'm going to leave a name out, actually. So there was someone who got in touch with me. I'm going to absolutely leave complete names out, except for it's no one here, who got in touch with me about, like, an audition. And I was just like, this is a bit weird. What they'd written was really, really weird. And then I didn't connect the dots. This person then did audition via some other means, ended up in the show. And then after they've been in the show for a while, I got a text message from them. And I was like, it's the same person that I thought was really weird that I didn't give an audition to. And so that actually happened. But I won't say who it was because it was only about a year and a half ago. And they still do the show and they're a great person, but their first communication was really weird. But anyway, hello, Dave. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Now, we're getting into all kinds of like deeper stuff here. We haven't even done our introductions at all. Literally not at all. I'll say it for all of you guys here. I can't remember who was on it. There was StreamYard issues. Half the show I'm just talking about the fact there were issues. and this is going to be a shorter show anyway. So, depending who can do it, or whether some can, some can't, we might do like a second Geek Battle, like on Thursday or Friday, just because I feel like there's so much stuff to discuss.
Can we play a game? Can we play games on Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, definitely. I'd always want us to play games, guys. Right. But okay, I'm gonna make my announcement in regards to when you say about playing games and that. Next week will be the last Geek Battle of the current format. Next week will be the last Geek Battle of the current format, and then Geek Battle 2.0 or 3.0. Tim's had enough. Wow.
I want this to stay.
I don't want things to change.
Wow.
I'm leaving.
Shit. I take it back. We're staying the same forever. We take it back. He's back.
This is like
Right. Tim, I take it back. We're staying the same forever. Don't leave.
I'm gonna murder you.
The timing of that was like, it's changing.
I'm getting Facebook.
Screw this. I'm gone. Right. But yeah, so next week will be the last one of the current format.
Are we going
Everything
to go
will-
back to Zoom?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
But next week's will be the last. I've been working on it. It's going to end up being about a month after I first said, oh, it's going to be changing in a week or two. But yeah, so next week's will be the last one. And then it'll still be very similar, but there'll be some new aspects to it as well. Some which hopefully should make it even better. But let's talk some hot takes, guys. Look, there's Tim, there's Dave. Oh shit, it's Nick, and there's Cap, and I'm David. Let's take the formalities of the introductions away. What have we got to discuss? What have we seen? There's all kinds of new things out. Joker is out in a couple of days, which I'm going to see, but obviously
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I actually just bought tickets before we started.
Oh, for Joker 2. Do you know what? The reviews have been mixed, but we'll be able to give our own review soon.
I've been avoiding them on purpose.
Me too. Other than the fact that I just saw that it's actually, it might have like a rotten thing on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's Rotten Tomatoes, so
yeah, true.
So mine is not about the Joker. This is going to go way back for when I gave you the critique about the Halloween films. Again, this is Halloween month, guys. Then Gerald recommended that I watch Trick or Treat, and I did. And yes, that's how a film titled Halloween should be, about werewolves, monsters, and a weird pumpkin kid who is like the Halloween mascot. I loved the film to death. I enjoyed it a lot. I want more stuff like that.
Wait, what film? You're not saying about the film Halloween, are you?
What? No, this film is called Trick or Treat. This is the film that I expected Halloween would be. When I first heard there's a film called Halloween, I expected stuff from this film. But it turned out to be a guy in a mask going, stabby, stabby, stabby. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, Trick or Treat is actually a really good one, because it kind of does what Halloween was supposed to be. It was just loads of separate Halloween stories set in one town, but they are all connected in some shape or form.
And they're all about Halloween. You get monsters like werewolves and like ghosts and the classic stuff. I like that.
Here's the thing. So like Halloween, the original, it was only ever meant to be one film. And then because without giving spoilers, because it's got a slightly ambiguous ending, they made a sequel that continues directly on, which by the end of it, they'd finished the story, allegedly. And so they were like, oh, but we need to make more. And so the next one was a completely different story. And when everyone went to see it, they were like, what's this got to do with the last two films? So then they panicked and never did that anthology-style thing again.
29 days to Halloween, Halloween,
yeah.
Halloween.
But I really do like anthology stuff. So like the Cloverfield films, the first two I think are both great for different reasons. The third one I thought was kind of terrible, but that's partly because
Trick or Treat, I would say it's not like a film series, like an anthology series. It's like basically one story. It all happens in one town. It just like you guess like from what is the monster of this hour. So in Halloween you get all these monsters enter into town. You get zombies, you get werewolves, you get everything. So it's much more nicer. It's much more variety. It's not all about a guy who's like trying to stabby you all throughout the film, and I'm like, I'm not scared of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, guys, something I'll quickly say, because I think I'd seen it last week but didn't speak about it. I saw a film. Jesus, what's the new Halle Berry film called? Anyone remember? It's
The Union?
Never Let Go. Never Let Go. Right. I saw that. If you get a chance to see it, decent film. I've seen some other. I won't give major spoilers. I've seen some other films that do the same sort of story better, but it's basically okay. So I'll give the comparison. You know, have you seen Bird Box with Sandra Bullock?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where there's some unseen evil thing, which when you see it, it causes.
It's
like,
Cthulhu. We can't just say it.
So, in Never Let Go, Halle Berry is living with her children, and there's some unseen evil thing where they have to keep away from it, and it's a really good film. In that, when I was watching it, trying to work out what's going on and it being genuinely creepy was really good. I don't know that I actually enjoyed it, which is an interesting thing when it comes to horror films. Because some of the films where I've been like, that's scary or that's creepy, like the film just, not the original Evil Dead, but the one just called Evil Dead, I think is genuinely a disturbing film. But I don't actually know if I enjoy it or not. But
Is that the one? Is that the one with the original one? The original Evil Dead?
No, it's
the newer
like
one?
from about
the
10 years
newish
ago.
one?
Yeah, the one from about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
The one from about 2 years ago was trash, but the one from about 10 years ago was genuinely effective in being disturbing and scary. But I don't know if I actually enjoyed it.
Isn't there a one where the main guy of that whole franchise gets to go into the world of the dead, like medieval age or something, and he has a machine gun?
Yeah, and that's a great film.
That's all
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
But
no, then the one that they just called Evil Dead was suddenly really gritty, really serious, so effective, disturbing imagery, disturbing stuff happened, and it's really effective. Oh, that is a horror film, but I don't actually know if I
remember not
like
liking that movie because I think that it deviates too much from the original concept of the Evil Dead franchise.
But that's okay, Nick, as we've established, right? But yeah, I do agree. Okay, any other hot takes? Anyone? Who's seen stuff?
It's Halloween, guys.
No one's seen anything. Do you know what? Well, guys, I don't mean to dominate.
It's just thinking. I want to say, like, the only thing I've been really doing is, like, on my channel, I've been setting up my Halloween stuff, doing stuff with Cap and such, playing Resident Evil, and I am thoroughly enjoying it.
5?
No, I'm playing the first one.
Are you still on the first one?
I'm still on the first one. No.
Oh my god, Dan.
I've been away for the last week or so, I've not been recording anything, and I blame Cap as well because we were doing Lunch Lady together.
That's why you had to blame me. You had to blame the lunch lady.
Wait, you're doing the Lunch Lady together. That's not the theme of this show, though.
You have no idea how. Oh. The sort of little, the small like indie horror game called Lunch Lady, kind of like this when the Slender Man came out. You go and collect test pages around a school while a demonic lunch lady, who I've called Doris, is chasing us around and trying to kill us. And surprisingly, Cat, I'm going to say this, Cat, but you were more scared about it than you actually were when you actually played it.
Wait,
the build up to this thing, Cat was like, "Oh, is it scary? I don't want it to be scary." And then he plays it, and he was the most calm one out of the three of us.
Because I don't usually play like survival horror games. The only survival horror game that I play is Resident Evil or like Castlevania, where you can punch the monster back. That's what I like. Okay, add about 300 pounds to her, have her skin peel off, and wielding a deadly frying pan.
Okay, right.
Wow. That does seem a little scary.
Yeah,
But
no,
Ken,
sounds
all-
great.
all she
Fine,
does
thank
is hit you with a frying pan. That's her finishing move. If you get caught by her, she'll hit you with a frying pan.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Frying
Yeah.
pan can be pretty fucking dangerous. I mean, pretty dangerous.
Oh, guys,
I mean-
like
So
there was
there's
a game on the
in-
there was a game on the Nintendo 64 called Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yep.
Oh my god, I played that recently.
Oh my god, I love that game. But the main weapon you had on the original version is a frying pan.
It is a frying
And then
pan.
when they did a remake, they gave you a baseball bat, but it was funnier with a frying pan. But yeah,
There's a very cool fight scene in Tangled where like Rapunzel usually uses the frying pan, but then the guy gets the frying pan. He was able to fight out multiple guards, and he goes, "Man, Mama, I got to get me one of these."
There's a character in Final
It's not a huge
Fantasy.
joke. It's just a movie reference.
I want to say Final
It's a
Fantasy
movie
7.
reference.
I want to say Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 8 that if you talk to her 3 times, she'll give you an important key item, and if you talk to her 4 times, she'll bonk you with a frying pan for all but one of your hit points on the entire party.
wow.
It's
Well, that's
like-
definitely the weapon of choice in the game, then, isn't it? You'll get that frying pan.
Although,
Okay,
I mean,
so-
for real, if you get hit by a frying pan, you would probably die, or at least
Yeah.
get a concussion.
Yeah, I should imagine so.
I mean, look, I have a cast iron frying pan that weighs more than Cap, I'm sure.
Yeah.
More than me.
What's it made out of? If it's that cast iron.
What are you cooking in it in the first place? Are you cooking people?
Deep fried crispy caps. That's what.
I put green.
Is it like the Scooby Doo pot where it's like the witch's cauldron? It's like
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so guys, one of the things, one of the headlines I've seen, which is kind of like one of these non-headlines, but Andrew Garfield confirms he'll return as Peter Parker if Marvel can deliver a great concept.
They're not
So-
going to deliver a great concept.
So
for
that's
that.
just an actor saying yes, he'd play a role again, basically.
Bring back
I
Emma
think-
Stone. Bring back Emma Stone. The best
How
thing
do they
about
bring
the
her
Andrew-
back unless it's a variant?
I mean, like the best thing about the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film is the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. When actually they were dating when they were in that film. Now I don't know.
Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were dating. That's why the chemistry was so good.
The thing that bothered me most at the end of the first film, there's the scene where they're stood together, her dad's dead, spoilers, and he's like, I can't do this. And then in the very next scene, they're sat next to each other, and he's like, that sometimes you don't have to follow rules. He's like, you're the one that just broke up with her because of that rule. You're the one that set that rule.
He and here's the thing, David. He saw the Tobey Maguire whole breakup and then Tenet thing, and he was like, screw it, I'll end it in one film. And they were together in the next film, and she died.
Isn't
Yeah.
that before or after he sells his shares on Facebook?
He did what on Facebook? Oh wait, is that because he was in the Social Network?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd say the only thing I didn't like about The Amazing Spider-Man was Harry. That's the
No.
problem.
No.
Yeah. Other than that, it was pretty good.
They made Harry look like he was sick, right? Like he had like a terminal. Did he have a terminal
Yeah.
disease? He turned to
Yeah.
solve it? Okay.
Not in the cartoons, but in this movie, yes.
In
And,
the
and
Andrew
Spider-Man has the stupidest reason not helping him, and he's gonna say, "But if my blood isn't compatible, you're gonna die." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna test it in a lab first. I'm not gonna jab it inside me. I have $1 billion company."
Yeah.
Can I say one thing about the Amazing Spider-Man movies?
Please.
I haven't seen them.
Oh, okay. Wow. Have you seen the Tobey Maguire ones?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Tom Holland ones?
Yeah.
Oh, they're definitely worth a watch.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll be
That's,
David.
interested to know what your opinion is.
David, we also established, and well, Link was on the podcast. Ever since the early 2000s, right? He was like, nah, I'm not gonna watch any of it. And then he starts to watch things, okay? So he completely skipped Gen Z. Completely.
Yes, and I'm okay with this. Remember,
No!
Nick, you've
Captain,
missed so much.
I was in my early 20s before you were born.
Yeah.
But it is
Okay.
worth the watch. David is right. It
No,
is worth the
yeah,
watch.
no, like they're on my watch list. So
I mean, I'm the same.
Yeah.
I only watched the first film. I didn't really fancy watching the second one, mostly because of the Green Goblin.
Do you know what? I preferred the second one. I
Really?
preferred the second one. Yeah, I felt like the origin story of him becoming Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man was kind of like, well, we've got to do it differently than the film that came out 8 years ago, and so they did it differently, and it wasn't as good. And there was too much of this teenage angst stuff. And then the second one, I thought it lightened up a bit. It was a bit sillier with like Electro and stuff like this. Jamie Foxx was good in it as his really quirky character. And I was like, okay, so yeah, I can see where they're going to go. But then, it fell apart and they were like, bail, let's do a deal, let's hand it over to Marvel. And then look, I said this even a week or two ago with when they brought Andrew Garfield back in No Way Home. I thought he was the best Spider-Man in it. So I'd definitely be up for him coming back. Go on, Cap.
I think so you may not agree with this, but like the thing that Amazing Spider-Man did, which I think also Tom Holland kind of followed up on that as well, but they kind of reeled it back in. They kind of made like there was only one scene where he gets beat up. But that's about it. Other than that, Spider-Man is kind of like the cool kid. When you see Tobey Maguire with the glasses and he's like missing the voice, oh, he's the nerd. We completely paint the picture of a nerd. But Andrew Garfield is like kid who skateboards. He's every cool 2000 kid, and apparently he's the nerd. And I liked it because it kind of fits because it wasn't a big change to his identity. He's always this kind of guy, kind of the cool guy, but not the tough guy kind of stuff. Tom Holland also kind of goes that, but they did have the Indian bully in it, which I always still find funny because the actor they chose to play the Indian bully does not look like an Indian bully at all. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, Dave.
I was going to say, like, the only thing for the Amazing Spider-Man that I really followed were the games. Like, I played the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, and like I said, I'd never seen the film. The only thing that caught my eye was that in the Spider-Man 2 game, you meet Cletus Cassidy, and you know Cletus Cassidy is Carnage, and Carnage makes an appearance in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, and I know that they make video game movies sort of like similar to the films. They have key points in the films, like the Spider-Man games. They do follow the films as much as they can, but Carnage being in this one for me was like, wait, that's kind of out of left field because there's no Venom in the game either. So where the hell has Carnage come from?
Maybe they were setting him up. Like I didn't play the games, but was Cletus Cassidy like a setup for another game, just potentially?
maybe, yeah.
I can kind of answer that because when they did Amazing Spider-Man 2, they were putting all of the pieces into place for Sinister Six. And then when that didn't work out, because who had they got in there? They'd got Rhino, who they set up as a character at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Paul Giamatti was Rhino in a suit.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and so they were going to have like Venom and stuff like that, but then obviously it didn't work out, and that's when they were like, right, we'll start with Venom, and that's when they started building it up again. But obviously, God knows what Sony's going to do. Kraven the Hunter's coming out, but everything else.
Awesome. Lion Man will be awesome.
Yeah.
Are we going back to Thundercats, Cap?
I've been bad about going to see movies, and I want to go back and see them, but it feels different now. I think, like
he's become wiser.
Possible.
Okay, so
starting to face reality.
Tim, what was the change for you?
Well, I don't know if it's like the multiverse, but it just felt like the model has changed so much when I would, maybe, get a 20 or a $30 million budget movie out there that's mid-size and something like that, not these blockbusters or these like indie movies that, this is going to break all the boundaries and like, push everyone's, this is Wonder Woman times 5, there's never been a superheroine movie before. Elektra, but I don't know. I'm going to shut up, but it'd be good to see.
I would say that the budgets, like you said, Tim, like most of the films, like unlike Lord of the Rings and stuff, like they're like very famous franchises that started off with like very minimal budget. Blade, the Mummy movies, they were like very, compared to now, I mean, there is inflation and that kind of stuff, but like I don't think even with that, it was not that high.
No, like the budgets have gone crazy with what they do nowadays, but partly that's because
I think it's executives. They're just like hoarding the money.
But also, like with the superhero stuff, they've got such huge ensemble casts. Where, like, I remember when they even did Captain America: Civil War, even though it was a big hit, there was like some of the backstory of it was that some of the executives were so angry that why have you put together all of the main players of the Avengers, where it's only meant to have like 1 or 2 big actors in each of the films until the Avengers. It's like, why is Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and everyone else, Black Widow, etc., all in that one movie, and it's not an Avengers movie because I have to pay them all, and with each one, like one of the problems is that they got themselves into the situation with Robert Downey Jr. with the first Avengers movie where he got like $50 million, and it's like then, whereas, and I think the story was that like Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth got like 2 million, and it's like after that, how are any of those guys who are now kind of, you couldn't replace them? It's like they have to suddenly up the budget for each of them, and so the budget's completely swelled on the superhero stuff.
Well, it's even on. I was reading something on Star Wars. Like they said that like the Acolyte, now that's all wrapped up, they actually released how much they spent on that. Apparently, well, first off, they said they spent 180 million on the Acolyte, but now it's come out and revealed that there's been about 300 million spent on the Acolyte, which had more budget than Ahsoka and more budget than Mandalorian and even more budget than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wow.
And I think I will say this directly to Hollywood: budget can buy you effects, it can't buy you a good story.
Yeah.
The Acolyte was terrible.
Well, it's like I mentioned the Cloverfield films earlier. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was the second one. Again, it's an anthology series. It wasn't, they didn't originally intend it that way, but it became it. 10 Cloverfield Lane, like John Goodman, I forget the name of the other actors in it now. Mary something or other, if anyone, Weinstead or something like this, right? They filmed that movie. They didn't know it was going to be called Cloverfield, right? Which was perhaps a bit sneaky because they might have been like, oh, that was a big movie, the first one. Can we get like this big thing? But it was a really small budget film, and it's like a 3-hander, and it's really good. You can make really, really good films on a budget, often like with limited locations, but then you build the story because then the characters, the locations, the plot elements become important, not the spectacle. Tim?
Like, I guess piggybacking off of that, you reminded me of this half-hour film I saw called Overlord, and it is Secure, Contain, Protect SCP Foundation related film. And like, have you ever seen it, Dave? Isn't it like, I thought it was a good movie for what it was, but
yeah, I was the same.
Yeah, there's stuff out there that isn't in studios, like major studios, like on Vimeo, that are pretty damn good. Sometimes
there's so many animated pilots right now on YouTube, like amazing, better than modern Disney films, I would say.
Well,
Like,
sorry, Nick.
there was a movie, I can't find the name of the title of it right now, that takes place with six friends on a Zoom call, and there's actually like they're discussing a murder that's going on in the town, but it's just literally it's six talking heads just talking about this murder that's going on in a town, and it's really like the movie had terrible reviews. I thought it was really fun.
David, they stole the werewolf format.
was that Unfriended, Nick?
Yeah, that's what it was.
I know that film.
Yeah,
I love that movie. Like, I went to the movie theaters twice.
wow.
I went to see it with some friends, and then this girl that I was seeing wanted to go see it. And I'm like, yeah, let's go watch it. I thought it was fine. Like, yeah, and that movie maybe had what, a 50 USD budget. They paid for the Zoom Premium account, maybe.
David,
Wait, no, when you say 50, you mean actually 50.
No. So, like, the entire movie takes place over a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they paid for a Zoom Premium account and a bunch of snacks for the cast.
Wow. Guys, I hate to do it. This is why I said that if people can do it or if not, we can put in a second Geek Battle this week because stuff like this, because it's meant to be extreme improv in a minute. But let's wrap this one up here, and we will do more. But so if we do get together to do another one this week, still it will be the case that next week's show will be the last Geek Battle of the current era. And then
it has been the last Geek Battle since last week.
Yeah. For the last month, it's been the last Geek Battle of this era. But next week's will be the last one of the current era. And literally next week's could be the first one in the new era. But I don't want to just spring it on. Like, I think we should have the last one of this era.
Because the next era will be the actual era, because we're not still sure it's David's computer.
Dave, why don't you say it out loud? What's happening? Why? Right,
What's happening? Why? Tell me.
No, it's just like it's a refresh to the shows. It's just a refresh.
Dave, we replaced you with an AI chatbot.
I've been tinkering with format, with graphics, with stuff like this.
I get it. You're having all your ideas. I've been giving to you by your
David Kostanski is just going to make a Henry Cavill related Geek Battle. What if Henry Cavill is Spider-Man?
Oh, the Henry Cavill graphic isn't going anywhere. That's still going to be that.
Hello and welcome to Cavill Hour. Cavalry or no cavalry?
Oh my god, Cavill! That's literally the way you say it. It does sound like something when you go to a coffee shop. And it's like, oh, are you having that with cavalry or without cavalry?
Yeah, I'll have an iced latte, a mocha, and a cavalry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm cavalry free. I'm trying to watch the waist. Right. Okay, guys, let's wrap it up. If you've got any, go on, Nick. What would you want to say? Then we'll.
I do have one last thing to say. We lost John Amos this year. We lost him yesterday. In fact, he passed away of old age.
Do you know what, Nick? One thing on that. Apparently, he died a few weeks ago, but they only announced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sad.
He's
and I was saying,
one of the actors.
Apocalypse is coming, guys.
One of my.
It was coming 20 years ago. Y2K.
Oh, Nick, what are you saying? One of the actors from what?
From one of my favorite movies, featuring Samuel L. Jackson, Coming to America. He plays Cleo McDowell.
Yeah.
He was also but seriously, he was also the father in Good Times, which is a groundbreaking sitcom from the 70s.
Well, yeah, he was. Yeah, go on. He was in Die Hard 2. He was Kunta Kinte in Roots, I believe. If you ever saw that, that was a groundbreaking series when it first aired in the 80s.
He was Will Smith's almost father-in-law in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but he did sleep with Will Smith's mom. Mama, no!
Well, anyway, but yeah, isn't that sad? Just to the fact that when you think of Coming to America, the two fathers, James L. Jones and John Amos, passing away so close together.
Yeah.
And also Splinter and Maggie Smith, McGonagall, Splinter, they're also gone.
didn't mention Maggie Smith. That was very sad that she passed away a few days
So,
back.
fun fact about that: Maggie Smith and who was the original Dumbledore?
I don't know his name, but we know who you're talking about.
Wait, the person that played Dumbledore?
The first
Originally.
Dumbledore.
Richard Harris.
Maggie Smith and Richard Harris died the same day, 1 year apart.
That was Michael
Richard Harris
Gambon.
died. Yeah, Michael
sorry.
Gambon is the second
You're right,
one.
Michael Gambon.
Yeah, that's very sad as well. Very, very sad. Right,
Now
guys,
Snape, Dumbledore, and McGonagall, all of them have gone.
And
And
Hagrid.
Hagrid.
And
Hagrid. Yeah.
Hagrid.
And Voldemort.
Wait,
Voldemort?
No, he's the
What? Voldemort's dead.
Ray
Fiennes?
Fiennes.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes is fine. No, Ray Fiennes is fine. Dumbledore.
Don't do that to us.
Like, what else?
Right, guys, we are going to have to wrap this. We're going to have to wrap this. So very quickly, where can people find you if you have a recommendation? But we are officially 4 minutes into when the next show should have begun. So, such is life. Dave, go for it.
Yeah, my Halloween season's begun on the Dave MC Gaming channel, so go check out our Halloween stuff with Kappa and Danny O'George, and check out the Resident Evil playthrough, which is starting. My Outlast stuff is still ongoing, and go check out all my stuff on my channel.
Okay, Kim.
You can find me at my Instagram handle down there. Just not a lot of updates, but I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, United States, at the Providence Improv Guild, and there's a lot of cool classes and shows going on, so you should always check it out if you're ever in the smallest state in the United States on a weekend.
Okie dokie, Nick.
Basically, you can find me on Twitter at NSTV. Yeah, just don't be a dick. Death threats always suck. That's why. That's all I got.
Okay, Cap.
You can find me on Deeks, where I sing and dance and throw myself in a bucket, and I work with puppets. And yes, this is going to be Halloween month, so do check me out on Dave's Stub, screaming my ears off, or not so much as I thought I would. But there's also going to be Halloween videos on Sword Deeds, and the first video is going to really answer the question, do you really want to call them Ghostbusters when you have a better option? Yeah, this will piss David off a lot, this short coming this week.
Okay, we'll see what that is. My name is David Psansky. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Psansky. Make sure you follow Geek Battle everywhere where you can. Oh, look, the thing isn't working. Get a Geek Battle mug whilst you're at it. Go to www.extreme.tv for the links for all of the Extreme Improv, Extremes, Geek Battle, Slam Jam, etc. shows, the latest stuff. Until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme, live long and prosper, and boom, we're off the air.